Hey guys, I am back. Aimee LaQuant, this season's guest on Staying Salty.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
If you haven't watched my About Me video, please do so. And I was told I could talk to you guys about whatever I wanted. So I had, of course, like 5 million ideas. Couldn't really decide, bounced back and forth, and I settled on sharing a bit about my experience with realizing I could no longer work full-time and effectively take care of myself or support my best health. So I was working, this is back in California, full-time as a substance abuse counselor, a job I loved, adored. I worked really hard to get to where I was, to get through school, to get the job that I had, and I loved it. Long, crazy story short. New Year's Eve 2015, we were told that the treatment center I was at, needed to close its doors. It was for a good reason, and I understood why they had to do it, but it sucked nonetheless. So came home that day jobless, and of course there was like that anxiety and like stress of I need to find another job, but my husband was kind of like, look, just take a couple weeks, rest, relax, because as much as I loved that job, it was also super stressful at times. So I took a couple weeks, and I was sleeping more regularly and sleeping better. It was the first time I had been like without constant stress and anxiety. I was able to put more focus and intention into my breathing treatments. I very rarely missed them when I was working, but in the mornings I would sometimes rush through them because I felt like I was always running behind. So I felt like I could put more into them, therefore get more out of them. I was able to start doing the things I love, which also involves movement, so yoga and hiking, which really helps my lungs and health and my mental health. So I just realized that like over these 2 weeks I was feeling good. I didn't know I could feel that good. I thought while I was working and doing really good taking care of myself that was the best I could feel, but I was wrong. So at that time, I realized I had a sinus surgery coming up, and it was going to be more intense than some of the other sinus surgeries I'd had. So we decided I should wait to look for a job till after that, which it did require a longer time for me to recover. And during this time, I also started yoga teacher training, which was something I'd already planned for, paid for, scheduled. I was really excited about it. So I just dove into that head first. And then my husband and I were like, kind of just took this as like some sort of sign or opportunity for us to move back home to Utah, at least while my husband finishes school, because I think even though I could not admit it out loud or to myself really, I knew somewhere in the back of my brain that I probably shouldn't go back to work full-time if I wanted to stay healthy. And that was pretty hard. So we decided for a multitude of reasons to move back to Utah. Once I was done with my yoga teacher training and my husband was done with his semester for school. And so we did it. We moved back. At that time, I had also been questioning whether I should continue working as a substance abuse counselor or in that field, because pretty much everyone who goes to recovery, like the majority of people, not everyone, but almost everyone, smokes. And if they didn't smoke before they went in, many of them start. So even though they smoked outside, I wasn't near it often, cigarette smoke sticks to your clothes. You guys know this. And so I think the exposure to secondhand smoke was having a bigger effect on my health. And when I really thought about it, I was exposed a lot more than I realized or that I cared to admit. And so Also, if a client was in crisis and they went to smoke and they're freaking out and panicking, and they need someone, me, to talk them through this or help them work through it, then there's like, I'm exposed to smoke directly. And of course, other counselors were great. They were willing to step in, but when you've built a rapport with your client, they sort of want you. So we moved back to Utah, and truthfully, even though I had come to that conclusion, Utah sort of just, put the nail in it, because to work as a substance abuse counselor here requires, they have different laws and regulations, so I'd have to go back to school, which I'm not against, but it just wasn't in the cards for me at that time. So I was looking in other areas and places and looking for part-time work, and during all this time I was kind of struggling with my health. Moving here I knew would be an adjustment for my health, and that my health may take a hit, but I thought that I'd recover pretty quickly and that it wouldn't be permanent. I was kind of wrong. It affected my health a lot more than I could have imagined. And it's still somewhat of a struggle. I do still believe that if we were to leave, which we will when my husband finishes school, that my health would improve. Anyways, so I was struggling with my health. I was constantly exhausted. I was getting sick. I did some part-time work at a farm, which is actually really cool. It was a local farm. I liked it. It was fun. But it didn't last long, because then I was hospitalized, and during that hospitalization, there was just more realizations, and I just started to really struggle with like depression and anxiety. I wanted to feel like I was a contributing member to society. I wanted to feel like I could contribute financially to my family. I wanted to feel like I was doing something, helping someone. And obviously, my identity is not what I do for a living, but a big part of me kind of was, because it's something that I loved to do, and it filled me up, and it gave me a sense of purpose. And so I just really struggled big time with all of that. And my dad was driving me to the hospital for one of these admissions that was happening. And we were talking about this because I was struggling really hard, and he jumped in with his dad wisdom, thanks Pops, and said something along the lines of, maybe right now what you need to focus on and what your work is taking care of you, doing the best you can to take care of you so you can be healthier and happier. And I'm sure you guys know that, when we're healthier and happier, when we're pleasant to be around, but we also can contribute more. And I realized that there was other ways I could contribute to my family, to society, and to myself, than just working and trying to just make money, or feel like I had to have like a actual job to be contributing. So big thanks to my dad for helping me figure that out. And so things just started to shift, and I had to do a lot of soul searching, and I talked to so many people, and I journaled, and I really tried working through so many of these things. And I started watching my cousin's kids just a few days a week, and they were paying me, and it was a way to spend more time with my little cousins, who I love and adore. And I had really missed, that's another reason we moved to Utah, was so that we could be around to see the littles, our little cousins, our nieces and nephews grow up and spend more time with them. So that gave me the opportunity to do that, and I'm still doing that, and I still love it. It's also really nice when I have to be hospitalized. I mean, they're family, so they get it. So they figure something out for the 2 weeks that I'm out. And if the littles are sick, they'll let me know so that they can find a backup if I'm not comfortable watching them, because they know that I can't get sick. They don't want me to get sick. So it's just really worked out. But I've also realized and have found other ways to sort of fill me up, so to speak. I became really involved again with the CF community, doing yoga for BreatheCon. So maybe some of you guys have done yoga with me if you've been to BreatheCon. I was on the working group last year for BreatheCon. I signed up for, Community Voice. So a lot of things through the CF Foundation, but I've also had the opportunity to do webinars on nutrition for people with CF. And that's something else that I'm passionate about. I'm able to write and contribute to blogs and newsletters, and I love that, and I'm able to get back into my own personal blog. So I have found other ways to feel like I'm contributing and helping others, and that just sort of give me a sense of purpose. And it took me a while to get there, you guys. This was like a year-long thing, and I realized that maybe not everyone has the luxury of not working fully for a full year before realizing these things, but and I guess it wasn't a full year. I found ways to make some money here and there, but I think through all of this, I just realized that my health has to come first, and that now that I'm 32, almost 33, it takes a lot more for me to just maintain some sort of baseline. It takes me more work to maintain my health, and sometimes that work is actually resting and sleeping, and that's hard for me to slow down. But this past year and a half has been quite the journey of just figuring out like what I need to do to support my best health and take care of me, but also still take care of my mental health and make sure I'm happy. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. I feel like I was just rambling, but I know I sometimes can learn from other people's journeys and experiences. So if anything stuck with you, maybe it's that little nugget of wisdom from my dad, Papa Joe. So hope you guys enjoyed, and have a great day.